welcome back. Hope you're doing well. This is part 6 of the Vario library bus conversion. As I mentioned in the last video, we were now going to be getting on with insulation, which we've now done most of. I'll walk you around the last little bits that we need to do, and I'm going to insert a clip now which shows you the roof just before we put the Ecotherm or Celotex, whatever you want to call it, in the roof. The reason for doing this is that we've actually filled the ceiling with recycled bottle insulation and then gone over it with Ecotherm, meaning we've got nearly 100 mil of insulation in the roof now. Given the way these library buses roofs are constructed, it's not a straightforward just putting Ecotherm in there and going really thick. You just can't do it. If you look back at the previous videos, you'll see that the way the roof is made, there's just all sorts of little kind of spaces and things like that where it just wouldn't be a straightforward process of just putting sheet foam insulation in, unless you did it prior to the fiberglass roof being put down, which is what they did do in some places. So if any keen-eyed viewers will probably notice that there were sections of the roof that did have king span, I think it was, in some sections, but none in other places, which is very odd. I don't know why they even bothered, because just doing it in a few places isn't going to do anything. So what we've done is go over the entire roof. Used quite a large amount of recycled bottle insulation. It's quite deceptive how much it actually would take to do the entire roof. And I'll quickly show you now what the ceiling looks like in comparison to the video, the clip, sorry, that I just inserted. You can see now we've gone over the whole ceiling with Ecotherm. So behind that Ecotherm is recycled bottle insulation, as you can probably see there. And yes, I am laying on the floor. So here's another area where you can see what I'm talking about. That's my hand for reference. With a tape measure there, we've measured that's about sort of 90 something mil. So the reason there's none here is we're going to be putting fireproof insulation in this section, and this bar is going to have to be trimmed, or potentially, well, pretty massively trimmed, but again, it's not very structural anymore given we've added all this additional structure in the roof, and there's no weight on the top. But this is for the flue, for the wood burner. So this timber is going to be cut, another timber is going to come across here and across here, leaving a good space in between for some fireproof insulation to surround the twin-walled flue, and then obviously allowing for the kind of chimney almost at the top to poke out. And yeah, obviously directly below will be the wood burner. So I'll just come to the back, give you a bit of a better idea. So it's really looking like a proper space now, with the floor down, a little entrance, and a nice flat ceiling. So what, again, I've mentioned this a couple of times, there will be a kind of a glow around the edge of the ceiling, around the main living area, not including the shower obviously, and not including the bed area at the front, to maintain as much head height as possible in there. And then where the bed area will be at the back, with a dividing wall that comes across here, there'll be another kind of glow around that whole bed area, as well as 2 wall lights, which are these cables sticking out here, which will be kind of bendy antique brass, bronze, gold kind of reading lights. And then obviously in this area, as mentioned before, there's going to be 4 white wall lights along there, and a really cool kind of circular wall light here, which will be a bit of a feature light as you come into the bus. But yeah, you can really see the thickness of the ceiling here. You know, it's about that kind of thickness where the skylight's sitting on the roof, and then obviously everywhere is just packed full. Behind this Celotex, I mean, the Celotex wanted to, push out almost, or Ecotherm, sorry, but because we've done it in the right way, it's all staying up there nicely. So you can see there's timbers behind here. It's all been taped up thoroughly with aluminium foil tape, and the walls will be getting the same treatment. What I want to do is do my best to fill up these metal supports with expanding foam. We've already put, rammed all these little cavities full with the recycled bottle insulation, and then all of these light trunkings, I'm going to be putting some in that as well. Reason being I haven't done that yet is purely because it's pretty straightforward to remove these covers and then fill it up with with the bottle insulation. What I didn't want to do is kind of put tension on the cables before we'd put all of the roof insulation in. But as you can see, there's some up there as well, so that'll get filled up. And then the walls will get thoroughly taped up as well, so it will look like the way the ceiling does with aluminium joining tape on all the joins. All of the red will be gone and all the wood won't be visible. And then we can start lining the walls and ceiling with whichever thickness timber we're going to use. The only bit I haven't done yet is these corners, which are a bit of a funny area. So those need to get done as well. These two bits of insulation are probably just going to get popped out because I want to clean these bits of metal off that join the corners, as there's a bit of surface rust on there. So we get some primer on that and some paint just so that they last, as long as the rest of the bus will. Yeah, so this should be very, very warm in here. The ceiling of our bus is done differently. Again, I've learned a lot since doing ours, and ours was done in a bit of a rush. So this is how I would have liked to have done ours had we have not had to replace all the walls with aluminium. So if that's of any interest to you to see the differences, by all means have a look back further on our channel, and there are quite a few videos of me building our bus, although there wasn't like a weekly build series like I've done with this one. So you'll really get to see this one take shape even further. Up the front here, the reason we haven't put any insulation up here yet is we've still got to finish off, first of all, priming all the edges where they never put any paint protection on them. As you can probably see here, this is where they've welded, and literally there's nothing on it. So that's bare metal, which has been there since 2007. I mean, amazingly, there is no rust on it really, probably because it was never touched after it was cleaned off. So there wasn't any moisture there to kind of allow the rust process to start. But you can see up here, this has started to rust very lightly on the edges. So what I'd like to do is clean all that off, get some red oxide primer on it, like they bothered to do on some of it, but not on other places. Get all that sorted. And then we've got to finish off the repairs above the door on the outside, which is down in this cavity here. And just in case there needs to be any little tack welds or spot welds or anything like that. Obviously we don't want a load of insulation in there, which will be down there as well, which you can't see. So this area will be filled up with bottle insulation, and then we'll use sheet foam insulation like Ecotherm, Celotex, wherever possible, so on the ceiling and stuff like that. So the top of this area will look the same as the rest of the ceiling, but again, it's not going to slow us down building out the rest of the bus. So I'm just relying on my welder to kind of do his thing with the bodywork and get some paint on it as well, and then we can get started on that above bed area. The shower again is going to be something that we're going to probably get started on soon. We've actually got some groundworks going on at the workshop at the moment. I'm not very happy with the kind of setup outside our second unit. The ground's very uneven. It's been cobbled together over the years, and not done with much care. So we're actually paying a groundworks company to come and lay some new concrete, so that we can get a couple of 2-post lifts in, and be able to lift up long wheelbase vans, not all the way up in the air as the roof will be in the way, but it will mean that we can lift them up off the ground a size, fair amount to fit underbody tanks and heaters and things like that. We wouldn't be able to lift something this big because this is just such a big vehicle, but it will mean that we can get a long wheelbase Sprinter or something like that off the ground and make our lives a lot easier in doing certain things. It will also mean that we can put a couple of the cars that are in the yard, one above the other, outside the doors of this unit out here. So this is going to be poured on tomorrow morning. Concrete's going in there, and they're putting new drains in. So this will be really good. So there won't be any more water running in from our neighbour's unit, which you can see has pooled a little bit there. So this will be raised up about 75 to 80 mil above where it is now. This has all been PVA'd, so the new concrete will be able to bond to it, and it will be fibre reinforced concrete as well, so it'll be super strong and crack resistant. So this will be lovely and smooth. There'll be a 2-post lift going there to put a car underneath and a car above that car, to give us a bit more space out in the yard. And as we are, where we are, it's we're not blessed with having an enormous car park outside, but again, I love this spot, so it's got a lot of character, which I think is in keeping with what we do. So yeah, this is probably a bit of a shorter video than the last ones, which might be a good thing for some of you. But yeah, so after this we'll get the rest of the insulation done, I'm going to start thinking about building the walls of the shower, and yeah, we'll obviously try and get the remaining bits done above the cab so we can finish the insulation off up there, and we can start thinking about covering the walls in some timber, probably do some decorating, and yeah, we'll go from being a silver box to a painted white box, and then we can start building furniture and it will start taking shape. We'll be then able to mount some lights on the walls and temporarily connect up a battery and get some light in here, so it will really start to look like a little house on wheels, home on wheels. Yeah, so thank you for watching. Again, this is part 6, so stay tuned for part 7. It may be a bit of a longer wait because of the works that we've got going on, so it might be that there's a 2-week gap between this one and the next one, but if possible I'll do a video about something else. We've actually got a new work van that we bought a couple of about 6 to 8 weeks ago, which we will be turning into a little mini camper that is still able to carry some sheet materials and stuff like that, so I can give you a walk around that if we aren't able to do another video on the library bus next week. So yeah, thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next one. Bye.